Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, write a Java program to demonstrate a static block. Let me answer this question with practical demonstration. So before I practically demonstrate this, how to use this static block in the Java programs and all, let me first explain some concepts in a theoretical way. So you already know about a class in Java programs. All the things in the Java programs need to be written inside the class, and the main members of the class are variables and methods. These are the two main members of the class. One is variables and another one is methods. Coming to the variables, we use the variables to store the data, whereas we use the methods to write the programming logic inside that. Okay. So that those are the two main members of the class. But apart from these variables and methods, we have another member that is none other than static block. Okay. And other members are also there. As part of this question, I am focusing on the static block, which is another member of the class. Inside the class, apart from writing variables and methods, you can also write the static block. So the syntax of the static block is something like this. Okay. This block, which is written inside the class, should start with the static keyword. After static keyword, starting brace will be there, ending brace will be there. In the starting and ending brace, in between the starting and ending brace, you can write your code. Okay. So what is the differentiator with this static block? So what happens? The theory or what exactly the static block known for and how it will get executed. I'm going to explain theoretically first. First thing is that whenever Java program is run by JVM, what the JVM will do to run the Java program, JVM will load the entire class into the memory first, right? When the JVM loads this particular entire class code into the memory, then itself, while the JVM is loading the class into the memory, the static block will get executed. That's the reason, that's the reason the code inside the static block will be executed even before the main method. We know that, okay, till now we know that when you run the Java programs, the execution will start from the main method, but that's not true when you have a static block inside the class. Because before the main method gets executed by JVM, okay, before the main method is executed by JVM, while the JVM is loading the class into the memory, then itself the static block will get executed, because of which static block will be executed before the main method itself, okay? So first static block inside the class will be executed, the code inside static block will be executed inside the class. After that, main method inside the class code will be executed. That's how the order of execution is. Okay. So how can we take advantage of the static block, which gets executed way before the main method, and it gets executed the moment when the JVM loads the class into the memory. Okay. So what is the advantage? How to take the advantage of the static block? Mainly used for performing one-time initialization task for the class. There may be other advantages of using static block, but the main advantage that I want to discuss here is the purpose of the static block is to do the one-time initialization for the class. Okay. The class related variables are there. Let's say there are some class related variables. Class related variables will be definitely static variables. Okay. That static variables, if you want to initialize the static variables before you call the main method, okay, before the main method runs, if you want to initialize the static variables of the class, then the easiest way to do that is one-time initialization process, because static block will be executed only once when the class gets loaded into, by JVM into the memory before the main method, only once. So initialization will be done automatically and you can use the variables. Okay. I'll practically demonstrate so that you'll get an idea of how to use static block inside the Java programs. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just name this class as class, some random name. Let's say class 38, already there, 39, I'll say. Okay. Main method I'll create, click on finish. And here inside the main method, okay, I'm not writing anything inside the main method, guys. Before this main method, as a members of the class, I'll create some variables, static variables, static, static string color. I'm not initializing it. You see, just creating the static variables, static int price, let's say, static double mileage, let's say, okay, static string company, let's say, static. I'm just taking an example, guys. Don't take this seriously. Model, I'll say, okay, like this, some and static int wheels, let's say like some static variables I created. Before I use these static variables inside the main method, I want them to get initialized. For that reason, what I can do is I can create a static keyword and start the static block and end the static block like this. Okay. In between this, starting and ending braces of this static block, which is mentioned with static keyword, I'll try to initialize these variables. For example, here I'll say color is equal to gray. Okay. Price is equal to price is equal to, let's say, integer value, right? So 9 lakhs in Indian rupees, let's say. Okay. Mileage is equal to 15.32, let's say. Okay. This is a mileage. Then company is equal to, let's say, Honda. Okay. One of the car company. Then model is equal to Amaze model. Okay. Then wheels is equal to 4 wheels. Like this, I'll initialize all the static variables because when you run this code, okay, when you run this code, all the static variables will be initialized in the static block. And before the main method runs, you will have all these variables already initialized this with this particular data. Now, simply I will print it out, system.out.println. Okay. Here I'll write color of the car. Color of the car is this color. Okay. This static variable, I'll print it out. System.out.println. You can see if it is not initialized, okay, I'll also write system.out.println. Okay. Static block started. Here I'll say system.out.println static block ended. To explain you guys, like, the execution of the code, I'll write like this. Okay, here I'll write system.out.println main method started. Here I'll write down system.out.println main method ended. Okay, like let's write this code. And after this, you try to print all the stuff. So these statements I've written to see like what is the execution of the code, order of execution and all. So color of the car I printed, price of the car I'll print. Price of the car is plus this particular price variable. I'll print it out. The value will be initialized here in the static block before the main method. So we'll get the value. And then system.out.println mileage of the car. Okay. So here I'll write down mileage of the car is plus this mileage. Okay. Mileage. Okay. This mileage variable. Okay. I think it's located. System.out.println. After that mileage, what is their company model wheels? Company of the car is plus this company. Model of the car is, next one is model. System.out.println. Here I'll write down model of the car is plus this particular model. Then system.out.println number of wheels of the car. Number of wheels of the car are plus wheels. Okay, like this I'll write. And that's it, guys. So let's see how the execution will happen and whether the static, generally the main purpose of the static block in Java is to initialize a one-time initializing of the class related variables. That is, static variables are class variables. To initialize them, we generally use that. And later in the main method, we can access them. Okay. So, and static block will be executed way before the main method. All these things will be clear for you when I run the program. When I run the program, a static block will be executed and then the main method. You see what happened when I run the program? First, which got executed? Static block started. It has not started the main method here. It started the static block. Then static block ended. That means initialization is done here. Then main method started. Since the installation is done, is already in the static block. You see, color of the car is gray. Price of the car is 9 lakhs. Mileage of the car is 15.32. Company of the car is Honda. Model of the car is Amaze. And number of wheels of the car are 4. And main method ended got printed. So with this, you can understand what exactly is the purpose of the static keyword and how to use it clearly, right? So I have just, changed the font size so that you can take a screenshot of this code and practice the static block in your case, okay? So yeah, Now you can take the screenshot, guys. I'll just pause this for a while, and you can take the screenshot. Hope guys you have taken the screenshot for this particular code and saved in your machine and then practice later onwards. Okay. So with this practical demonstration, hope you understood how to write a Java program to demonstrate a static block. Okay. Not only demonstrate the static block, but also explain the concept behind the static block and what is the purpose, why we have to use that. Okay. What is the necessity of the static block? What is the order in which it will be executed when compared to the main method? Everything you explain, and when it will be executed in the program. When JVM loads the class into the memory, then only it will be executed. Okay. In order to run the program, JVM has to load the class into the memory, then only the program will run. While it is loading the class into the memory, static block will be executed. That's why it is get executed before the main method. And what is the main purpose of static block? If you want to initialize the class related variables, that is static variables, for one time, only one time when the class loads into the memory, when you want to initialize and later use that variables throughout the class code, okay, like in the main methods or etc. Okay, that's the reason we use static block in the Java programs. Okay, so with this practical demonstration and explanation, hope you got an answer for this question, and you'll be able to answer this question if you get this kind of question in the interviews. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain the difference between static and instance methods in Java. Let me answer. In Java programs, you can create two types of methods. One are static methods and the other one are instance methods. So static methods belong to the class. Okay. Static methods belong to the class, whereas instance methods belong to the object or instance. That's the reason we call them as instance methods. Okay. While static methods belong to the class and they are common for all the other objects, whereas instance methods belong to the object or instance and they are specific to every object or instance. You can call the object as instance, you can call the instance as object, that's okay. Okay, these are instance methods or object methods. These are static methods or these are called as class methods. Okay, so if you provide static keyword before a method, that becomes a static method. If you don't provide static keyword before a method, that becomes an instance method. If someone asks you the differences between the static and instance methods in Java, you have to explain all these things. Okay, static methods are nothing but class methods. Okay, they belong to the class. Instance methods are nothing but the object methods. Okay, object methods, they belong to the objects or instance, what the same name. Okay, object or instance are nothing but same. Okay, and if you want to call a static method which is there inside a class from outside the class, okay, then you have to use the class name. Okay, in order to access static method of a class from outside the class, you have to use the class name for accessing that. You don't have to create object directly. By using the class name, you can access the static methods of the class from outside. Whereas coming to instance method, in order to access the instance methods of another class, you have to first create an object for the class, and using the object reference, you have to access that instance methods outside the class. Okay. And other thing that is that you have to understand the difference between static methods and instance methods is static methods can only access the static stuff. Okay, that means directly. I mean to say directly. Static methods can only access the static stuff, that is static variables and methods directly. Okay, whereas static methods, in order to access the non-static stuff like instance variables and methods, it has to create the object for the class in which that non-static stuff is available. But coming to the instance methods, they can access directly both static and non-static stuff directly. There is no need of creating an object, or there's no other way. But static methods can only access static stuff directly, whereas to access the non-static stuff, static methods have to create an object for the class in which that particular variables and methods, non-static variables and methods are available. Using the object reference, you have to access. Okay, so at a high level, theoretically, these are the differences between static methods and instance methods. For making this theoretical stuff clear for you, easy for you, I am going to do some practical demonstration now. So for that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE. Here, I'm going to create a new class. I'll just right click and create a new class. Okay, I'll just name this class as class A. Okay, I'll just create the name as class A. Click on finish. Inside the class A, I'll create some variables and methods. inside this particular class, I'll create some variables and methods. So let's wait for the Eclipse IDE to create this class. Okay, Control plus you say. You can increase the font size. Inside this, I'll create a, let's say a variable int a is equal to 5 and another variable static int b is equal to 10. Okay, like this. One instance variable I created, one static variable I created. Similarly, I'll create a method public void sample a. Public void sample a. This is an instance method system.out.println. System.out.println inside sample a. Okay, which is a non-static, that is instance method. Whereas I'll create one more method that is public void. Public, instead of public void, I'll say public static void. I'm using the keyword static before this method. So this sample b method is not a instance method. Okay, I told you, right? First of all, static methods. Static keyword is provided in the method declaration. Those are static methods. Okay, what are instance methods? The methods in the methods, if static keyword is not specified before a method. Okay, that kind of methods are called as instance methods. So here, if you see these two methods, guys, to one method, we have not specified any static keyword. To another method, we specify the static keyword. To the method before which have not provided static keyword is called as an instance method. The method before which you have in the method declaration, if you have specified static keyword, that is a static method. System.out.println. Okay, when I call this method, if this particular method is called or not, how to prove that? If this print statement is printed, we can prove that. Okay, inside sample b, like this, I created one instance variable which doesn't have static keyword provided before that. That is an instance variable. If you have created a variable before which you created the static, you mentioned the static keyword, that is a static variable. And coming to the methods also, if you don't specify the static keyword, that becomes an instance method. If you specify the static keyword before the method, that becomes a static method. This object method or instance method. This is a static method or class method. So all the static stuff like static variables and static methods, they belong to the class. Okay, they're common things, guys. Okay, they are common. Static stuff are common stuff. Okay, you see, for this particular class, you can create any number of objects, but for all the objects, the same value will be there, same method will be there. It's a common variable for all the objects of this class. It's a common method for all the objects of the class. It's not specific to any object. That's why we call them as class variables and class methods. If you put static, means the members of the class which are specified with static keyword are related to the class and they're common to all the objects. Whereas the variables and methods, that is members of the class, which are not specified with the static, are specific to every object. Okay, they are not common, guys. They are not common. They are specific to every object. So now you understood what is the difference between the methods which are specified with static keyword. They are belong to the class memory. Here I mentioned clearly, you see, static methods or static variables, whatever it is, guys, that the members of the class which are mentioned with static keyword belongs to the class memory. Okay, or class, you can say. They are common things. Okay, these methods are common for all the objects, okay, of this class. That's why they belong to the class. Whereas instance method doesn't have the static keyword and they belong to the object or instance, means they will change according to that particular object, guys. Okay, they are not common for all the objects of this particular class. Rather, they are specific to every object. That's why the name instance method, object method. Okay, fine. And coming to the other thing, third point, if you have to understand, can call this method directly using the class name. What does it mean? It means that if I create one more class here, I'll just name this class as class B or something. Okay, I'll just give another name like class B. And in this, I'll create a main method. You can create any method, guys. That's okay. I'm creating main method so that I can run the program. Okay, because the execution in the Java programs will start from the main methods. So here, if you observe, okay, if I have to access, okay, this particular static variable, okay, if I have to access this particular variable or method which is specified with static keyword, you don't have to create an object. You see, I can simply write down system.out.println. What is the name of the class in which this static variable is available? Class A. I simply say class A dot. That's it. You can access that. static variable. You see, when I say dot here, you see you're only getting B here, not A is not coming. Okay. Static variables or static members of the class can be accessed using their class name because they belong to the class. Here, calling the method also same thing, class A dot, which method is coming? Sample B method, which is a static method is coming. Okay. So you don't have to create an object to access the variables and methods of the class which are specified with static keyword because they belong to the class or class memory, and using the class name only we can access. You don't have to create an object. But what is the case of the instance variables or instance methods which are not specified with the static? Okay. So sir, for such kind of instance variables or instance methods, especially in this question, instance methods, we have to create an object. We have to call this method outside the class by creating an object for the class. Okay. If in case I have to access this instance variable or instance method outside the class, first I have to create an object for the class. How to create an object for the class? Class CA is equal to new class A. Class A. Okay. Like this, I'll create. Okay. Then CA dot system.out.println, system.out.println. Sorry, I'll just type it properly. System.out.println. I'll simply say, now using the object reference of this class, I have to create an object for the class. Using the new keyword, I need to create an object for the class and assign that object to the object reference and declare that object reference for of the class. Once you write this object creation statement, using the object reference only you can access. Here, directly using the class, you are able to access the static variables and static methods outside the class. But in order to access the instance variables and instance methods which are not specified with static keyword, you have to create an object for the class in which that instance variables and methods are available. And using that, you have to call that. You see, A is coming here. This is the way. And here similarly, CA dot sample A. Okay. CA dot sample A. Like this, in order to access the non-static, that is instance, that is object related variables and methods, you have to create an object, guys. Okay. That's the way. So that is another point or another difference that you have to explain in the interviews when they ask you the questions. Okay. So again, let me compare static methods. They have the static keyword. Instance or object methods, they don't have the static keyword. Simple. Okay. It can be variables and methods also in sometimes. Okay. The variables which are specified in static are static variables. The variables which are not specified in static are instance variables. Okay. Coming to methods also same thing. The method specified is static keyword. Okay, static methods are the methods which are specified with static keyword. Instance methods are the methods which are not specified with static keyword. And static methods belong to the class. Instance methods belong to the object. And that's the reason when you try to call a static method using the class name, you can access the static methods outside the class. And if you want to access the instance methods or object methods outside the class, you have to first create the object for the class in which this instance method is available. And using the object reference, you have to call this particular instance method. Okay. So which one is easy, guys, to call outside the class? Static methods are easy or instance methods? Definitely static methods, because you don't have to write this line, guys. Extra line you don't have to write. Directly, you see, here I need 3 lines because I need to create an object, and using the object reference of the class, I have to access the instance variables and methods. But static variables and methods, you don't have to create an object directly. Access them using the class name. Which one is easier to access outside the class? Static methods. There may be some situations that will come in real time, like creating some utility methods, okay, where you create the utility methods inside a class and make this utility methods as static, so that you can access these utility methods using the class name itself in which they are created. It will be very easy to access. That's why people go for static methods. That is one of the reason. And the other one is other important difference that you have to understand. The difference between static methods and instance methods is static methods can directly access only the static stuff. For example, here, this is I'll just close this. This task is done. Close this. And here you see, guys, which one is a static method? The sample B is a static method because it is specified with static keyword. And now, if I want to access these variables, let's say, okay, inside this static method, if I want to access these variables, one of them is an instance variable, other one is a static variable. If I want to access a static variable, I can directly access like this. You see, no error, nothing. System.out.print. Inside the static methods, static stuff or static members of this class can be directly accessed within the class. Okay. You see, B directly I can access, it will work fine. What about I want to access this static variable? There's a problem. I cannot write like this. System.out.println A. It will give me an error because it is not static type. Static methods can access the static stuff directly, but non-static or instance stuff, it cannot be accessed directly. So I'll also call a method, I'll try to call this method, which is a non-static method. That is also not possible. Okay, because I cannot call this method directly from sample B. I cannot call this sample A directly because this is also not static. Okay, non-static stuff cannot be directly accessed. What if I have a method, another method here, public static void sample C. Sample C, if I create a method like sample C, and here I write down system.out.println inside sample C, inside sample C, if I write down, okay. And if I try to call this method in sample A, I'm not able to call directly because static methods can only access static stuff. Here you see variable B directly you can access because it's static type. Okay. And similarly, sample C, if I call, I can call this method directly. Why? Because sample C is also specified with static keyword. It's a static members, whether it is variables or methods, can be directly accessed by the sample. I mean, that is static methods. But static methods, in order to access the non-static stuff, like int a is equal to 5 is a non-static variable. Public void sample is a non-static method, which is an instance methods or instance variables. If you have to access inside the sample B, the only way to access is in which class this mm, in which class this instance variables and instance methods are available. Class A. For that class A, I have to create the object case. Okay, without creating the object, you cannot directly access them. Okay, to directly access them, they should be of static type. You see, within the class also, I have to create an object for them. Okay, within the class also, I have to create an object for the class in which this instance, that is object methods and object variables are available. Now using the object reference, you can access system.out.println. Now you can access. Okay, directly you cannot access, but by creating an object for the class in which this instance variables and methods are there, you see CA dot, I can access A. Now you see, I'm able to access directly A. It's not accessible. Similarly, CA dot sample A, I can access, no problem. Using the object reference, I can access, but directly I cannot access. But what about this point is clear, right? Static methods can access static variables and methods directly, but in order to access the non-static stuff like instance variables, or that is object variables and object methods, you have to create an object for the class inside which this particular variables, instance variables and methods are available, and you have to use the object reference to indirectly access them. Directly, you cannot access the non-static stuff. Directly, you can access only static stuff. Indirectly, you have to access the non-static stuff or object stuff by creating an object for that particular class and using the object reference, you have to access them. But coming to instance methods, there is no such kind of feeling, guys. You can directly access both the static and non-static stuff. For example, this is an instance method. Here, if I have to access this A and B, I can directly access, guys. There's no restriction here. Okay, whether that is a static variable or instance variable or object variable or whatever it is, you can directly access. There is no restriction here, you see. So, okay, this is a static method, right? So I'm just working in a wrong method. I have to go to the non-static method. Non-static methods can access both the static and non-static stuff directly. System.out.println, I can access A, no problem. Static stuff also I can access directly in non-static methods. You see B, no problem. Okay, you can call the sample B method. No problem. Sample C method, even though they are static, also you can access them directly. They don't have any such rules like static methods can only access directly static stuff, or non-static stuff to be, that is object stuff, you have to create an object. But coming to the non-static methods, you can call both the static stuff and non-static stuff directly, guys. Okay. So here I'll create one more method, that is a object method, public void sample D, I'll say. Okay. Whether it is a static method or non-static method doesn't matter for this non-static methods. Object methods, they can call them. Okay, they can call them inside sample D, inside sample D, like this. And if I call this, you see, I can call this. Whether it is a static method or non-static method doesn't matter. You can access them directly. A, B, you see, B, C, D, everything. Okay. But coming to the static methods, there are restrictions like directly you can access only the static stuff. Indirectly, by creating an object for the class in which that object methods and variables are there, I have to use object reference to access them. But coming to the non-static methods, you can directly access them. Both static and non-static stuff directly you can access without the need of anything else. Okay. So that's what is the difference, guys. That's sort of these are very important, guys. Static plays a very key role in Java programming. A lot of people are not aware of the static keyword. So that's the reason interviewers will frequently ask this kind of question, like what is the difference between static methods and instance methods. So if you have the proper knowledge, you will be able to understand this. Okay. Can call both static and non-static stuff directly. Okay. So guys, if you're able to explain so far, that is more than enough. Okay. These points, if you're able to explain, static methods have the static keyword before them. They belong to the common memory, that is a class memory. They belong to the class and they belong to the common, and they're not specific to any particular object. They're common to all the objects. That's why they belong to the class. And if you want to access the static methods of a class outside the class, by directly using the class name, you can access. And this is the easiest way to access the methods from another class outside the class. Okay. So people when creating some utility methods inside a class, right? They'll make them static because that utility methods can directly access with the help of class name. So you don't have to create the objects for the classes in order to access that methods when they are made static. Okay. So easy access will be there. And at the same time, static methods can only access static stuff directly. But in order to access the non-static stuff, we have to create object for the class in which the non-static stuff is available. And using the object reference of that class, you have to access the non-static stuff inside the static methods. And coming to the instance methods, no static keyword will be there. They belong to the object memory, or they belong to the object or instance. That's why they are called as instance methods. Okay. Can call this method by creating an object for the class. Okay. You cannot directly access using the class name because they belong to the object memory. So by creating an object for the class using the object reference, you have to call this instance methods or object methods. And the other thing is that instance or object methods can access both the static and non-static stuff directly. You don't have to do anything else. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. And also, guys, you can take a screenshot of this if you want. If you want to take the screenshot of all this code, you can take the screenshot. Okay, so let me go here to the class B also. I'll open. What's the problem? Okay. Save this and, just drag it here. There's no problem there. Just see here, guys, you can take a screenshot of this. First of all, you can take the screenshot of this external class from where you are able to access the static and non-static members of this class. For accessing the static members of this class, you have to use a class name. Okay. Class name dot variable, class name dot method you can call. But to access the non-static stuff of this particular class, you have to create an object, and using the object reference, you have to access outside the class. First, you can take the screenshot of this entire thing. And now I'll scroll down. Hope you have taken the screenshot. I'll scroll down where I created some static methods and instance methods. Okay. So you can take the screenshot of this, guys, or I'll just try to reduce the font so that you can take the screenshot at a go. Yeah, now you can take the screenshot, guys. You can zoom in your machine. Okay. Entire code, whatever I covered in this session. Now you can take the screenshot because I have I just reduce the font so that you can take the screenshot. Hope, guys, you have taken the screenshot of this entire code, class A, class B, and all these points referring to this. Okay, I covered there. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, write a Java program to demonstrate creating multiple classes. Let me answer this question with practical demonstration. So first of all, is it possible to write a Java program containing multiple classes? Yes. If I talk about Java program, I mean by a Java file. Inside a single Java file, can you have multiple classes specified, or can be written as a Java program containing multiple classes in the same Java file? Yes, it is possible. Okay, first of all, the answer is yes. In the single Java file containing the Java program, you can create any number of classes or multiple classes, but we have to follow some rules. Okay, if we have to make this possible, we have to follow some rules in Java for that to happen. The first rule is, even though multiple classes can be created inside that Java program or inside that Java file, only one class out of these multiple classes can contain the public access modifier specified. Okay, only one class out of these multiple classes in the Java file can contain the public access modifier. Remaining all classes should not be specified with public modifier. Then only it will be allowed. Okay, let me show you practically. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and I'll just go to, okay, let me launch my Eclipse IDE, guys. I have not launched. The Eclipse IDE has been launched now. I'll create a new package, new class. I'll just right click on this package and create a new class with some random name, guys. Or you can give some name also. Let's say, let's give some name like, Amazon. Okay, let's give some name like Amazon for the class name. Okay, that is Java file name will be Amazon. Okay, click on finish. The moment I click on finish, the Amazon class has been created. The Amazon class has been created here, guys. As you can see, this one class, only one class is there. Okay. And since the name of the, okay, since here only one class is there, can I create multiple classes? Inside the same Java file, can I create multiple classes? This is one class only. But can I create multiple classes? Yes. But the only rule here is only one class in that multiple classes should have this public access modifier specified. Already this Amazon class is mentioned with public access modifier. If I have to create one more class using, if I say Flipkart, if I try to create a class like Flipkart, you are going to get an error. Why? Because in this single Java file containing the Java program, you have multiple classes where both the classes have the public modifier specified. There's a problem. Okay. If there are multiple classes, okay, I'll create one more class, public class, Mintra. Okay. You see here also you're getting error because in a single Java file, it is allowed to create multiple classes, but only one class should have the public modifier. So all the extra classes that you're creating, remove the public modifier, guys. You see now the errors are gone. The compiler errors are gone now. Why? Because even though you have multiple classes, only one class has the public modifier mentioned and the other classes doesn't have the public access modifier mentioned. Okay, then it is allowed in Java. In a single Java program, that is in the single Java file, you can create multiple classes only if only one class has a public modifier specified, access modifier specified. Remaining classes should not have the public modifier specified. That's the number one rule. And next thing you see, all the other classes should be of non-public type. Okay. Only one class should be specified with public and remaining all classes should be non-public. No public modifier should be specified. The file name must match the name of the public class. So out of this multiple classes here, out of this multiple classes here, what if I remove the public here and provide the public here? Is that okay? There's a problem here. It's not okay. Why? Because even though there are multiple classes, which class out of these multiple classes should be specified? Only one class should be specified with public access modifier, and that class should be matching with the name of the file name. You see here, Amazon.java is there, here Flipkart is there. So this Flipkart is not matching with Amazon.java file name. Hence, you cannot specify public modifier here. Can I put public here for Mintra? No. Why? Because here Amazon name is not matching, file name is not matching with the class name. For such kind of extra classes, you cannot specify public access modifiers only for Amazon class, which is matching with the only the name of the class. You can only specify the public modifier before the name of the class, which is matching with the file name. Here Amazon is matching with Amazon. So here only this case only you can mention public, and only for one class you can mention public, remaining all classes non-public only. Only the class which is class name, which is matching with the file name, that can be specified with public access modifier. Okay. These are few rules now. Okay. Public classes are accessible from outside the package, while the non-public classes are accessible only within the same package. Next rule is, next thing, what will happen? Okay, this is not a rule actually. This is not a rule, but these are the rules actually. These are the rules. Okay. So can I do one thing? Can I create a public static void main method here, string of args? Is that possible? Let's see. Let's try that out. Save this. I'm able to create the main method. Okay. When I run this code, right click, run as, I'm not getting Java application option. Why? Why I'm not getting Java application option, guys? Why I'm not getting the Java application option? Because this is not a public class. Okay. How to put this main method also inside the class having the public modifier specified, and the name of the class should match with the name of the file. In that class only you have to specify the main method. Now, if you right click and run as, you will get Java application. If you move this main method into non-public classes, if you move this main method into non-public classes, then it is not possible. Then it is not possible. Okay. The other rule is that when you create multiple classes inside the same Java file, and the name of the class matching with that particular Java file should have the main method. Other things should not. Okay. Other only the class having the same name as Java file name can create main method. Non-public classes which are not matching with the name of the file names cannot be specified with main method inside. We cannot write the main method inside the non-public classes whose name is not matching with the name of the Java file. Okay. And as you already know, public classes are accessible from outside the package also. Public means throughout the outside the package also you can access them, guys. Okay, that's the functionality of the public generally. But non-public classes are accessible only within the same package. Within the package, from any class you can access them. Like you can create an object for this classes, and you can create object for this Flipkart, Myntra. Okay, within the same package, but outside the package you cannot do. For example, if I create one more class, let's say a demo. I'll say a demo with the main method I'll create. Within the same package I'm creating, guys. Within the same package, public means can be accessed. Okay, public can be accessed. Public classes can be accessed within the package, outside the package also. Here, if I say Amazon is equal to new Amazon, no problem. I can create. What about this Flipkart and Myntra classes? Can I create the objects? Yes, you can create because this a demo is part of the same package. Amazon, Flipkart and Myntra also is part of the same package. Even though they are not public, you can also still create them. Okay. So here Flipkart is equal to new Flipkart. Like this, I can create an object for the Flipkart. You see, I have no issues. Myntra is equal to new Myntra. You see, no issues at all. You can create. But what if I create one more class outside the package? I'll go to another package here, guys. Let's say this package I'll go. Here I'll create one more class. B demo, I'll say. A demo is done, right? With main method I'll create. But the problem with the B demo is it's not part of the IJ package. It's part of the J package. You see, Amazon, Flipkart, and Myntra are part of IJ package, whereas B demo is part of J package, which are different packages. So can I create an object for the Amazon? Yes, you can create because it's public means outside the package also you can create Amazon is equal to new Amazon. You see, I can create an object for this Amazon. Over the mouse on this, import it. You just have to import if it is part of the another package. Just have to import this, but still you can access by creating object. But this Flipkart and Myntra, you cannot create an objects, guys. Flipkart, you try to create outside the package. Flipkart is equal to new Flipkart. Flipkart is equal to new Flipkart. You see, I'm not able to create an object for the Flipkart. I'm not getting import statement also. It's not possible. It's not possible, guys. Okay. Even Myntra also not possible. Myntra is equal to new Myntra. Outside the package, you cannot create objects for this. Okay. You see, I'm not able to access. Import statements are not. So hope guys, you got the idea about how to create multiple classes inside the same Java file, that is in the same Java program, how to create multiple classes. These are the rules. If you follow, it's possible. And I practically showed you how to write how to create multiple classes inside the same package. Okay. So you can take a screenshot of this, guys. Screenshot of this code you can take. Okay. Like this, multiple classes you can create, and the name of the class should match with the name of the public class should match with the file name. Okay. Other classes should not have public, and they cannot have public, modified, specified, and non-public classes. And main method, if you have to create main method, you should be creating the main method only inside the public class only. Okay, which is matching, whose class name is matching with the file name. Okay, remaining classes you cannot do that. Okay, you can take a screenshot of this, guys, and try on this. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, write a Java program to demonstrate creating a constructor. Let me answer this question with practical demonstration. So first of all, what exactly is a constructor? Constructor looks similar to the methods. I'll write all the points here. First, understand, guys, before we go to the practical demonstration, let's understand some concepts around constructor before we create them. So constructors, first of all, look similar to methods. But what is the difference between the constructors and methods you have to understand next. Okay. Coming to the methods. Coming to the methods. Methods have return type. Methods have return type. Like if a method is not returning anything also, we generally mention void. If a particular return, okay, if a particular method is returning, some integer value, will provide the return type as int. If the particular method is returning some string text, we'll provide the return type as string, etc. Right? So methods will contain the return type. Okay, methods contain the return type. But constructors, coming to the constructors, no return type. Here, constructors won't have any return type. This is one of the difference that you can see when you compare the methods and constructors. Coming to methods, they have return type. At least void will be there if the method is not returning anything, and if the method is returning something, accordingly, the declaration of that particular data type, okay, will be the return type of that particular method. But coming to the constructors, there are no return type. So no void, no int, no string. Void also will not be there, guys, okay? Constructors will not have any return type. That is the first difference between the methods and constructors, though they look similar, okay, in the style and all, but constructors won't have the return type. Other thing about the methods is they have their own names. Okay, you can create methods with different type of names. Okay, you can give whatever the name you want to give for the method inside a class. But with constructors, you cannot give your own name. Okay, name of the constructors should be same as a name of the class. Okay, name of the constructor should be same as the name of the class. While methods have their own names, constructor cannot have their own names. Constructor name should be same as the name of the class. These are the main two important things. When I compare this methods and constructors, constructors look similar to methods, but these are few differences between the methods and constructors. Then what is the purpose of the constructors? Purpose of constructors in Java. What is the purpose of the constructor? The main purpose of the constructor is to initialize the variables. Okay. So for every object, you have to initialize the variables. Okay. If you want to initialize the variables of every object, then we have to use constructor. For a particular class, you can create lot of objects. For every class, you have to initialize the variables. Okay. The class related variables you have to initialize for each and every, whatever the variables that you define inside the class, right? Okay. If you have to initialize them for each and every object, if you have to initialize them, the easiest, simplest, or the best way of initializing the variables in Java is by using the constructors. Okay. Constructors simplifies the process of initializing the variables for objects, class objects. Okay, for objects, for class objects, whatever the objects, for each and every object you create for the class, right? For that class objects, if you have to initialize the variables separately or whatever it is, constructors will be doing a better job there. Okay, it simplifies the process of initializing the variables for each and every class object. For each and every class object, constructors purpose is to simplify. If someone asks you what is the purpose of constructors, what are constructors? Constructors we use in Java, they look similar to methods, but they have these differences like they don't have return type, and name of the constructor should be same as the name of the class in which they are created. And at the same time, you have to say that the purpose of the constructors in Java is to simplify the process of initializing the variables for each and every class object. Okay, that's what you have to say as an answer, guys. Okay, so if you have this knowledge, you will easily understand with practical demonstration what exactly a constructor is. For that, I'll switch here and create a new class. I'll just name this class as some name, let's say car class, let's say. Okay, with the name car I'm giving. Click on finish. Inside this class, car class, I'll create some variables. Okay, let's say I'll create some variable like string, color of the car, double, mileage of the car, int, price of the car. Okay, then string, model of the car, string, company of the car. Like that, many variables I can create inside the class. Now, here if I have to create some method, like for example, if I have to create some method public void I can give any name for the methods, guys. Okay, whatever I'm creating is a method. It has a return type. You see, if the method doesn't return anything, at least the return type should be mentioned as void. Here I'll say print car details. Okay, like this, I'll write a statement and here write down system.out.println, system.out.println, color of the car is plus color. Okay, then I'll write down system.out.println, mileage of the car is plus this particular mileage. Then next one, system.out.println, price of the car is plus price. Then model of the car is system.out.println, here model. Okay, model of the car is here I'll say plus model. Then here I'll write down system.out.println, company of the car is plus company. Okay, plus company. Like this, I'll create some method. Okay, the next one is all good. So far, so good, guys. Okay, now I'll save this and I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as some random name. Let's say demo class. With main method, I'll create. So why I'm creating this another class, I'll tell you. Okay, here we have the demo class. Inside the demo class, we have this main method. Now what I want to do is, I want to create objects for this car class. Inside this main method, I can write car HAMZ, Honda Amaze, let's say. Okay, new car. I create an object for the new car. Okay, and using this object reference, I would like to call this particular print car details method. Okay, HAMZ dot print car details. Let's see what will happen. Did I initialize any of these variables for this particular object created for the car class? No, I have not done that. So if I run the code, what will happen? Just see that. Okay, in the output, you see in the output, what is the output you are getting? Color of the car is null, mileage of the car is 0.0, price of the car is 0, model of the car is null, company of the car is null. That means default values are coming. Okay, even though I have not initialized these particular variables of this class for this particular newly created object, still if I try to access this variable and print all the variables, color, mileage, price, model, company before initializing them, okay, it's taking up the default values, not give any errors. But what we have to do is, for every object, we have to initialize these particular variables. Okay, using the object reference of the class, you can do that. HAMZ dot color is equal to gray color, let's say. Okay, you can create any number of objects, guys. For every object, you can do the same thing. Okay, mileage is equal to 14.53 is the mileage. Let's assume HAMZ dot price is equal to let's say 9 lakhs in Indian rupees. 9 lakhs. Okay. Then HAMZ dot model is equal to Honda model. Okay. HAMZ dot company is equal to the model is Amaze model, guys. Okay. Amaze is a model and the company is Honda, guys. Okay. Like this. Now I have initialized this particular variables. Okay. This class related variables, I have initialized this particular object one. For the object one, I have initialized all these variables, okay, of the class. And when I say print car details, this time default values will not come. Instead, you will get, okay, all the details. Color of the car is gray, mileage of the car is 14.53, price of the car is 9 lakhs, model of the car is Amaze, company of the car is Honda. Now, before I show you how to create a constructor and all, you have to understand all these concepts, guys, okay? So now, if I want to create another object, okay, similar object I want to create, I'll copy paste just to save the time. Here I'll say, instead of Honda Amaze, I'll go for SVDI, okay, Swift VDI, okay. Swift VDI dot color is equal to, let's say, red color. Swift VDI dot mileage is equal to, I will give the mileage as, 23.12, let's say. Price of the car, I'll say 8 lakhs. Then model of the car is VDI and company of the car is Swift. Maruti Swift. Otherwise, Maruti is a company. And Swift VDI is a model. Okay. Model of the car is Swift VDI and company of the car is Maruti. Okay. and print car details. Okay, now I have two objects created. This one object I created with this object reference. This is referring to this number one object. This object reference is referring to another object reference. And here, using this object reference, we have initialized the class variables for this particular object with the different values. Okay, here for this particular object, second object, I have used this object reference to initialize the class variables for this second object. Okay, the values of the variables for this object are different from the values of the variables for this particular object of the car class. Okay, there are two objects I created so far. Run the code and see that color of the car is. You see all these details. Honda Amaze. Okay. Okay. For this one, you see here there is a problem where here I have to copy this SVDI and say SVDI.price, SVDI.model, SVDI.company, SVDI.print car details. Like that I have to say. Okay. Now, the next thing is run the code again. And this time you'll get the details properly. See, there are two object related details are coming, but there is no separation. So I'll do one thing. I'll just intentionally add system.out.println. Here system.out.println. I'll add a line, guys. Okay, I'll add a line like this. Okay, just to segregate the different object print statements. Okay. So using this object reference of the SVDI car, okay, using the object reference of that, okay, I am calling the print car details. Okay, so what will be printed? All the car details of the second object will be printed. Color of the car is gray, color of the car is 14.53, 9 lakhs, Amaze and Honda. Here, color of the car is red, mileage of the car is 23.12, price of the car is 8 lakhs, model of the car is 50 VDI, company of the car is Maruti. Like that, you will get all the details. That's good. Okay. Now, if I create 100 objects, these statements need to be written how many times? These statements need to be written 100. If I have to create 100 objects, these statements will be how many in count? 1, 2, 3, 4. For every object, 5 statements I have to write for initializing. That means 100 objects means 100 into 5, 500 statements I have to write. That's a very hectic task. I don't want to write this many statements. So what I can do is I can create a method for this. For example, public void. I'm not going directly to the constructor. I'm going to the method. Initialize vars. Okay. Some name you give, guys, just give some name, that's enough. Okay, you don't have to give you can give any name because method can have any name. Okay, name of the method need not be same as the name of the class. It can have its own method names. Okay, initialize vars per car, you can give any name. Okay, so here I'll just give the same variables: string dot color, comma, double mileage, comma, this int price, you write down that here. Then next one is string model. I'm just trying to reduce the number of lines for initializing. Okay, I'm trying to simplify the process of initializing in Java, but I have taken an example of method for doing that stuff. Okay, is a method a correct one or not? We'll figure it out. Okay, I've created a method here. Public return type is there, means method. It has a different name from the class name. It has its own name. Okay, now what I will do is I have to differentiate the class variables from this method parameters. For that, to say that this color and color both are having the same name, to differentiate this class variables from this, I have to simply write this dot color. This is the class variable. Okay, the class variable color is equal to the parameter color. Okay, the parameter color. Like this, I have to write this dot mileage is equal to, this is what is initializing called as, guys. Okay, mileage. Then this dot price is equal to price. This dot model is equal to model. This dot company is equal to company. I'll write. Okay, this dot company is equal to company. Save this, guys. Okay, now what you have to do next is, you don't need this many statements, guys. Okay, to initialize this class variables for this particular object, you don't have to write this many statements. I'll tell you how to do that. You simply have to call this hamz dot, call this method known as initialize vars for car. Okay, here you have to pass all these values. First, you pass, in place of this null, you pass gray. In place of this 0.0, you pass 14.53. In place of this 0, you pass this 9 lakhs. Okay, in place of this Amaze, in place of that null, you pass Amaze here. And in place of another null, you pass the company name Honda. Okay, like this you have to pass, guys. You have to, these are the arguments that you're calling the method here. Initialize vars for car, you are calling that here. These statements are not required anymore. You see, in single line we completed now. In a single line, we completed the task is initialize whereas for the class like that. Okay. For this also, you don't need so many lines. You can simply write svdi dot initialize whereas for car, and you just pass these things. Okay. And write down 23.12. Okay. And then write 8 lakhs here. Write 8 lakhs. Then write Swift VDI. Write Swift VDI. Then write Maruti. After you write this, you remove all these lines. These are not required anymore. Things are going to work in the same fashion now. Run the code, guys. Run the code. Right click, run as Java application. Run the code and observe that. You see, you will get the same output. Gray color of the car is gray. Mileage of the car. You see, model of the car is Amaze. Company of the car is Honda. Red. Swift VDI Maruti. Like that, you will get all the car details. You see, I don't have to write five statements for every object to initialize the class variables for that particular specific object. Okay. You have 100 objects created. You just have to write 100 statements for initializing the variables. Okay, initializing the variables. But still, using the method for initializing the class variables for that particular specific objects is not a best one. Okay, it's not the simplest way. What I will do is I'll convert this method into a constructor. Okay, I have to convert this method into a constructor. This is where the actual answer for this question will kick in now. Write a Java program to demonstrate creating a constructor. Okay, now the purpose of the constructor you will understand, guys. So I don't want even this particular method to be explicitly called to initialize the class variables for each and every object. Rather, I want to do that in a different way. For that, I have to convert this method into a constructor. Constructor, I told you, right, when compared to the method, they look similar to the methods, but this return type, even void also will not be there. And the name of the constructors should be same as the name of the class. It cannot have its own name. So car. You see the name of the class and name of the constructor matching. Now remaining all things are same. This is now a constructor, guys. Simply this is a constructor now. Save this. Okay. Now, instead of calling this particular initialize whereas per car method separately, you pass all this data while creating the object. Okay. In the object creation statement itself, when you are you see, when you're creating an object for the car class, beside the circular bracket, this portion is called as constructor calling statement. This will call this constructor, but here multiple parameters are there. Here no parameters, no arguments are there. I'll paste it. Once I provide the arguments, you see this statement is not required. When you create the object itself, the constructor will be called. The constructor will be called, and all these class variables will be for this particular object will be automatically initialized. You don't even have to write a single line. Okay. Which one is better? Method way of initializing the class variables for particular specific objects is better, or while creating the object itself, the constructor calling statement is being calling the constructor. This star is calling the constructor, and this constructor is getting initialized automatically. Which one is better when compared to methods and constructor? Constructor looks a simple way. You don't have to write any lines. Even though you create 500 or 100 objects, 0 lines you have to write for initializing, because in the object creation statement itself, you are initializing the class variables for that particular objects. This is what the constructor all about, guys. This is how the constructor looks like. This is how the constructor looks like, guys. Whatever I have written here is nothing but a constructor. Okay, let's see what till where I can go. Just close it here, otherwise save this. Yeah, this is the constructor. I'll just reduce the size a bit. You can take the screenshot of this constructor, guys. This is what from line 11 to line 19 is nothing but the constructor, guys. This is how it looks like. It doesn't have return type and it has a name, same name as a class name. And the purpose is to simplify the process of initializing the class variables for each and every specific object, okay, without taking any extra lines, okay. And you can call the constructors like this. When you say demo here, the constructor will be called here, okay. When you create the object itself, the object creation statement has a constructor calling statement, and that will initialize the class related variables for each and every object. Now run the code and you'll get the same output without any difference. You see, we got the same output without any difference. This is what is the purpose of the constructors, and this is how the constructor look like. So guys, these what are the constructors, and you can take a screenshot of this code now if you want to practice later. So yeah, hope that you have taken the screenshot for this code. So with practical demonstration, have written a Java, with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. That is, write a Java program to demonstrate creating a constructor. Not only I showed you how to create a constructor, but I explained everything from scratch. Like I explained the difference between methods and constructors. I explained what is the purpose of the constructors. When you are answering such kind of questions without this knowledge, if you answer, it will look very artificial for the interviewer. So it's better that you answer the question in a proper way. Okay, apart from writing the syntax of the constructor when the interviewer asks a question for you, along with writing the code for writing a constructor in the Java program, you should also have in the background, that knowledge of the constructors you should have. Without this knowledge, no matter how much you explain, there is no use, guys. So, and also while writing this code, Java program, demonstrating, creating a constructor, right? Okay, try to take try to not take a simple program. Try to take this kind of program that I have demonstrated here, like car and all those stuff, initializing the class variables using constructor. You take it. You don't have to go from a direct initialization, then go for the method initialization, then go for the constructor initialization in your answer. You can directly jump to the constructor initialization, and at a high level mention that a constructor simplifies the process of initializing the class variables for each and every object in the for the class. Okay, like that you have to say, that's it. You don't have to explain all this stuff. This explanation I've given in this section so that you will understand, you will get more confidence while answering this question in your own way. Okay, that's the reason I explained this answer for this question in a detailed manner. But in the real time, with this knowledge, you try to answer whatever that is possible for you in whatever that looks natural for you as an answer for the question that you get in the interview. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye.